What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Verdependent podcast, where we depend on the Verde Black for our everyday vibes. This week, we vibe check the first half of the 2025 season, celebrate 100 episodes of the Verdependent podcast, and discuss Austin's win at Colorado and upcoming match versus New York Red Bulls before closing out the episode with the stoppage time rundown of the hottest Austin FC, MLS, and World Footy storylines of the past week. I'm Logan Bartlett.
What's up, everyone? This is Paul Fletes.
I love it. And top of the episode announcement here, this Friday, we are headed to the 1972 pub to catch the Houston Dash versus San Diego Wave match at 7 p.m. Little NWSL action. Come through, say hi, catch some women's footy. It'll be a good time. 7 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Friday, 1972 pub. See you there. Let's get into some preheated takes. Paul, start us off.
Okay, I'm actually just going to heat this up all the way right now. In a full reversal from last week, I have us winning the remaining games in June. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
It's crazy, bro. The Verde Kool-Aid has hit, bro. That's insane.
That's all it takes, bro.
Man. I love that one. It kind of matches what I have, which is that Mirto Azuni will score a goal on Saturday. And, if he scores a goal, we're probably going to win a game. That'd be pretty cool. So, a little triangulation there. Preview for the little second half conversation. We're going to win this game. Yeah, I think I like yours. I think that has a lot of confidence behind it, a lot of gusto.
Yeah.
Crazy choice, but I'm staying with you, dog. So
I mean, I'm just saying, bro, a complete reversal. I just needed to see us win a game, and now I'm back all in. But
you picked the least scheduled month to call that. So,
bro, stop all that, dude. I mean, yeah, duh.
Fair enough. But let's get a little more 30,000 foot here.
Let's do it.
And let's take a look at the season as a whole so far, or more so as a half. We've made it to the halfway point of the season, and I feel comfortable enough now with the sample size to make general assumptions of this year's edition of Austin FC. But first, let's talk very generally about the vibes through 17 games. What are the vibes of the 2025 season so far, Paul? Start us off.
Got you, man. Yeah, so I would say the vibes are very, very mixed, leaning towards negative. I think the expectation was built heavily on the roster construction, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I think given the excitement and the hype of all of our signings in the winter, there was a lot, of pressure put on these attackers, but we all forgot who, Rodo selected to be our manager after Josh Wolf. And so I think for those that had been paying attention to Nico Esteves' career, they will be the first to tell you that this was never going to be a lights out, attacking squad. This was going to be a manager that brings our defense, back up from the leaky goal defense that we've been, accustomed to. And so, that said, the vibes have been very much like, hey, we've got, some really cool attacking players in the mix. Why aren't they doing so hot? But we have this Josh Wolf-esque manager still. And so I don't know. That's a long way of saying, I don't think if this is actually Austin 2.0, if I'm being 100% right now.
I would agree.
But anyway.
I like your answer because you gave a little bit of a preview for the second and third questions, looking at the roster, looking at the some of the statistical things we saw. So but all in all, I agree vibes wise. Actually, I'm a little more pessimistic on the vibes. I'm just thinking back through the Rolodex of the last 17 weeks of recording podcasts, and it's been mostly sad and frustrated and disappointed.
Yes,
and I think some combination of those words kind of summarize how many fans feel. I'll save the statistical overview for the second half of this discussion.
For sure.
But we've been pretty poopy. Poopy. But not in the cool Jamie Tart, Ted Lasso way. Like in the damn that shit smells and I want it out of my house now kind of way. Like when you're picking up smeary, nasty dog poop off wet grass, and it's just the stinkiest smell of all time, and you feel it between the plastic and your fingers.
What are we doing right now, bro?
talking about Austin FC's first half
Oh,
of
no.
the 2025
Okay.
season.
I just got weird.
It's been
really
more that
weird.
than like good.
Yeah,
You know?
that's fair. That's fair.
And so that's kind of how I felt. It's pretty poopy. And yeah, fucking sucks. But on paper, this is the best roster we've seen here in Austin. It hasn't translated to consistent success in the field, though. What do you think of the roster construction this year? One. And two, where might we see improvements in the summer transfer window?
Yeah. It's interesting that you say on paper, because I would argue, well, I mean, one player in Sebastian Driussi does add a lot of weight to any given roster. But yeah, I think as soon as you remove that, yeah, I would agree that, the addition of Brandon, Buka, and Mirto, just that alone right there, is enough to go like, yeah, this should be on paper the best, roster that we have so far. But
yeah,
I would say that for the most part, man, the construction is not bad. Like we've seen that we've been able to, get some people up, in terms of, I'm thinking like Nico Dubrsarski, who is starting to kind of slowly get integrated into the team a little bit more as a backup to, say, like a Danny Pereira, more of that 6 role. I think Owen has been lights out and arguably our best player on the pitch. And so that's good to see, for a year one kind of veteran like himself, such a young talent. But yeah, I still think that there are things like a Sebastian Driussi type, creative outlet. I don't even say he was like I don't think he was that out and out creative person. He was definitely more of that like second, approacher in the box finisher type. But I think that's something that we desperately need because, I think we've seen Owen do glimpses of that. But, if we want something like a Lucho Acosta, an Evander, if you will, that's able to pick those passes between the lines and just generate even more chances, for the team. That's desperately something that we need. I think it was H on Top Flight last week that was saying that, we're one player announcement away from a CB emergency. So I would like to think that I would agree and that we definitely need to shore up that CB positioning there. But other than that, I would say for the most part, we've got really good pieces, for depth and for rotation. It's just a matter of this coach not getting the best out of them so far.
Yeah. And I want to take the conversation there because generally I agree this roster construction is solid. And that's a testament to the guys who've been around a long time who are in their, they're the best version of themselves. Stuver, Galley, Danny, maybe even Julio. I know he's been injured on and off, but Danny, Owen, etc. Right. Yeah. And then the quality of player we brought in, like high value DPs, got guys like Robert Taylor, who are just consummate professionals.
Yeah.
Good quality players.
Spatak,
Oberon, Spatak, Dessler, of course. And improvements, I think the main two, if anybody's listing positions we need and they're not saying a creative 10 and a center back, they're not looking at the roster, right? So we need to start there. We only have a couple spots to play with anyway.
Yep.
I'd like to see some U22 guys get into the mix as well. Maybe that's a high potential center back. Maybe that's, another creative midfielder that we can kind of get in the mix. But taking it to the point that about Nico, I didn't include a question targeted on bashing Nico Esteves. I know last week I was getting all hype and macho in the mic about like, I'm going to say some crazy shit. I don't need to say much about it. Nico's been a disappointment, in my opinion.
Yep.
We'll get into the statistics that on the very, very, very surface level back that up a little bit. This big narrative about this great defense that we've had and whatnot. Some of it is true. Some of it is, a little misleading. And if you can't score a goal, you can't win a game. So, we're in a struggling place there. I think it's just questionable in hindsight. I started this off by saying I feel like we have a big enough sample size to make some assumptions or some generalizations. And I think this roster and this coach do not mesh. I don't think it's a wise move to spend $13 million on a guy that's going to get 21 touches a game, barely a shot on target a game, less than he has 2 goal contributions in his career for Austin. Is that right?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
believe
that,
so.
maybe 3.
Yeah, not
Don't
counting the
even
cup.
care to look. It's shit, and that's all that matters. And so something's not meshing, and I would say it's less on the roster and more on the coaching staff. And you go as the head of that coaching staff, you got to make some changes. We'll talk about the Colorado result. A 2-0 win is good, but that's 2 unfortunate bounces, or 2 very fortunate bounces for Austin that wins us that game. So, it's not like we had this clinical dominating offensive performance in a 2-0 win.
Yeah.
We'll get more to that, though. I'm jumping ahead here. All that to say is the roster is good, in my opinion. But I'll get a little bit more into the stats and maybe a little bit of a leading question here.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at those stats, right, after 17 games, Austin's, granted, at this point we're recording, we've played 18 games, so this is a little retroactive before the Colorado result, but 17 games, Austin sat in 10th place with 20 points on the year and a record of 5 wins, 5 draws, 7 losses. They had 11 goals for, 20 goals against. In record standing and points, 2025 sits smack dab in the middle as third best or third worst of all 5 seasons in club history, right? It's right in the middle. And goals for, dead last by a wide margin. Yes, even lower than 2021, by the way, where we had 13 goals by the halfway point. And goals allowed, it's technically the best, but it's tied for best with 2 other years, that being, again, 2021, our worst season in existence, and 2022, our best season in existence, right? So mixed results there. 20 goals allowed for us is good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we've been good when we do that,
Yeah.
In fact, we're 2 for 3 seasons where we've had that and we've been shit. So, given a new coach and roster turnover, right? New guys coming in, long-standing guys going out. Do you find what we've seen statistically and on the field acceptable?
Yeah, the short answer is no. It's not acceptable, but this is MLS. And, as we have said many a time on this podcast, it really doesn't matter because, again, it's not until August, September when teams really start gunning for their placement in the tables and for that playoff, positioning. But I think to your point, Logan, I think it's one of those things where it's so much easier, and you hear this adage all the time in football, but it's so much easier to place one man than 11, right? And so I think for us, it does and will continue to be a conversation throughout the season if we stay in this form of, just the inability to score with these high value players. We gotta find someone that can unlock a way to get all of these pieces meshing because that's what we desperately need. But yeah, man, it's not acceptable.
Yeah, and I think that's the short and skinny of it right there. Just we played the most games in the league at this point with 18.
Mm-hmm.
When we were at 17, most teams hadn't played 17 yet. We're 1 to 3 games ahead of most teams in the West. Many of which have played 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And we've played 18 now, right? So these stats aren't equal with everybody else's. Those teams that are behind us as they catch up will score another couple goals, let in or avoid letting in a couple of 0 goals, right? And it'll look even worse.
Yeah.
Also, you're right. For the casual fan who watches MLS in the same way that they watch NBA or MLB, where it's, you're not going to watch most games 9 in, 9 out, but when the playoffs start, you'll be more looped in.
Yep.
You're right? This doesn't matter. No one's looking at the standings right now and thinking anything more than 10th isn't that good, huh? Or, at this point 7th, but that's kind of a fluke anyway. They're going to wait until we make the playoffs and then watch those games. Granted, they're not 7-game series. They're maybe 2 games, if not 1, depending on what the playoffs do this year, what the format looks like. So, yeah, it's that generalization is fair, but as fans who watch every single game on TV or in person, it's not good, dude.
Yeah.
It's not an enjoyable football to watch. It's not an enjoyable style to watch. It doesn't feel good, watching this team, even when we win and you step back and look at it, it's yes, a win's a win. I'll never argue against that.
Right.
But a deflected shot and a pass off a goal off the back of the defender's head, is not like a quality win, right? I'm jumping ahead. We'll get to that, but it's just it's a weird space we're in right now. We're like, technically we're in the playoff hunt. We're still in it, but it's not convincing. It's not enjoyable. It's not pretty. Not in like the sexy way that like a gritty 1-0 win isn't pretty, in truly like a holy shit, this stinks. We can't score a goal,
right?
Kind of way. So let's look very like general long term second half of the season predictions. What do you think happens at this point 16 games, but going into playoffs?
Yeah. I think I am going to bring back the dose of optimism here that I had for my preheated take. And I think there's something about the All-Star event that's going to be happening in July here in Austin. That's going to be a little bit of a motivator. For whatever reason, I'm just assigning this to our team that kind of lights that fire for the second half of the season. You heard Dessler kind of talk about this in the post-game interview after Colorado, where the past is the past. The first half of the season is behind us, but there is kind of this intentional outlook of, okay, like we got to start stepping it up now. We got to start finding momentum where we can, and I do think that this team, for whatever reason, backs each other, backs this coach, and they're going to find a way to get the results. And I think to your point, Lobar, it's not going to be pretty like you were saying, but they are much more, I get the sense, tied to purely the result than the means,
Fair point.
And so, yeah, I have a feeling that the second half of the season is going to look a little bit better. More time with the squad is only going to make things better, I hope, ? There's a big question mark over Izuni's involvement, right? But in general, from what we saw in Colorado, not to jump ahead there, but
that's all I did in my first half, bro. You're good.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that the team generated their own luck, right? Like, Dessler being advanced gave him the opportunity to get that tap in. Heinz Zike rising up for that header gave him the opportunity to bounce it off Navarro's head. So
right.
We're in those spaces, man. But to your point and to everyone's point, it's not convincing enough, and I think that's always been something that I've talked about, where it's got to be convincing. But yeah. What about you, man? What are you feeling?
I think offensively, it literally can't be worse than what we just saw. 11 goals in 17 games is a record low. Just barely beating the record for worst season-long potential average by a goal. So it can't get worse. I think it's already better, right? In the one game we've seen, no matter the means, it's 2 goals, 4 on the stat sheet.
Yeah. We're underperforming that expected goals for, right? And so hopefully there's some regression to that mean, which means that we should be scoring more goals eventually. But
more progression in this way. This case,
yes.
I think Vasquez and Uzuni just need to see a couple of those breakaways hit the back of the net, right? They're the biggest culprits for hitting a ball right to the keeper on a breakaway. And so I think you're spot on. Like, the all-star piece, that momentum, that motivation will come from that. I think it'll be rightfully embarrassing when we only have one player on this team because the coach picked him. And I hope the team knows that's not good enough, right? We don't want to be DC United in 2023 who finished 12th with 40 points, which is what we're on track for when they hosted the MLS All-Star Game. We want to be Columbus in 2024 when they were, top 3 in the league and competing. So, I hope the team takes that motivation and sees all of these really good players from really good teams on their field playing without them and says, hey, this isn't good enough. We got to make change. And hope that better start now, right? It seems to have maybe started. We have some momentum coming home this weekend, which we'll get to. But yeah, I think it has to be better. There's no way it can be worse, right? Like, that would be our worst half of football in history. In our 5 seasons. So I just don't see that being possible. I think defensively we stay pretty good. I think offensively we have to get better. There's no way we don't statistically, unless we're just like cursed with horrible luck, which I don't really believe in that. So A little bit of optimism from me as well to end it, but it's like necessary optimism because we have to be better, or else I'm going to be more sad.
I was gonna say it doesn't feel optimistic, bro. This feels like an ultimatum, but I hear you. I hear you.
This maybe more so. Let's get optimistic though, right? Because this is our 100th episode.
Hell yeah!
I know I kind of glossed over it to start, but 100 episodes of the Verdependent. You're in the middle of it right now, and we want to take a couple minutes here between the two of us to just talk through what that means to us, some of the, what we've enjoyed from this process, from this experience, just how we've appreciated engaging with you, the listeners who make this, you're the reason why we do this, because if you didn't listen, we wouldn't be doing it, right? So, Paul, I'm going to start, or I need you to start it. Yep, you got it. Go ahead and start the timer and give us 100 seconds for 100 episodes and just tell us what this podcast means, or whatever, however you want to phrase it.
Heard. All right, starting now. First, I want to thank the Academy, my mom, and God. No, I'm kidding here. No, it's been a blast, dude. I think from day one, and even a little bit before that, when you and Lojo and I got together and we're like, hey, I think we can find a way to kind of get this going. And we just kind of started that. And granted, it's taken its turns and what have you, but to see it where it is now, to being stopped at an Austin FC game, and just being recognized for creating the content that we create, is a really cool feeling. So first and foremost, thank you to everyone that's listened, that's engaged with us, shared our content with your friends and family. But also I think it's important to shout out everyone that we've interviewed. I know specifically for me, connection with Glenn that I had back when I was living in Houston. That was really, really cool to kind of take that full circle and have him part of the show now. And just all the fun stories that we've been able to tell and share. The cool little moments on stoppage time where we're just kind of like, oh damn, the reveals and reacts, man, that just completely we weren't ready for, or we were and
unexpected.
Yeah. So I don't know, just want to say thanks, man. And, we'll keep going 100 more. But how about you? What you got for your 100 seconds?
Yeah, man, let me, I had a timer going in your honor. So let me start that over for me.
Oh, snap.
Starting now, I also want to thank the Academy. I want to thank Paul and Lojo for starting this with me. In all seriousness, no, I think calling it back to that first, those first conversations, we have maybe 5 or 6 episodes in the vault that will never be put out in public, of just us figuring out what this is and how we want to frame this, and spending all this time workshopping it. And, shout out the two of you, and, now you and me doing this and making it happen. We're having a good time with it. And I think, getting the opportunity to talk to Sean Colemanich and getting the opportunity to talk with the club, right, and like coordinate future interviews, and guys like Glenn, right, and interact with other podcasts, the North End, Queef Pod, like all the people we've got to just chat with because of this podcast. Sitting in 101 now, right, with a bunch of people that listen to the podcast or know us from the podcast, and getting to talk about that, and people asking like me what I think about soccer, when 5 years ago I was FIFA brain 100%, right?
Yeah.
And now, like, I have legitimate opinions that I think matter. You don't have to think that, listener, but that's okay, right? I appreciate you nonetheless.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun with it, man. Like, I love this club. I love talking sports, always have, and getting to do it for my home club, for Austin FC, wearing the jersey, talking about the team talking back to us, and the fans, the listeners tuning in every week. It's pretty awesome. So, I got 5 seconds left, so hell yeah. Appreciate y'all.
Nice, dude. Nice. Yeah, we figured we should keep it to 100 seconds, because anything more, it would be
we thought through, like, should we do 100 things, like 100 moments? Do we want to all of a sudden this would be a 3-hour episode?
Yeah.
But
no,
we appreciate you all, listeners. I mean, that's all it comes down to, is let's just keep it going. We're going to keep talking about soccer. We're going to keep talking about the team, talking about women's footy, talking about Chelsea, right, and everything in between. So, yeah, just tell us what you like, tell us what you don't. We're going to keep growing and making this thing work. So, shout out to y'all. Now, please listen to this Memento ad that we're about to talk about.
Hell
Be
yeah.
right back.
BRB. Yo, Lobar, it is summertime, my man, and we got a lot of stuff lined up for Memento this season, G. I know I'm already looking at some concerts that I'm gonna be going to, and obviously we got a hella, Austin FC games that we got to log. Why don't you talk to people about their favorite app?
Can do, dude. Memento is your sports scrapbook for Austin FC and your beta tested music scrapbook for your music going experience. Your games, your stats, your scores, a memento for every moment. Every memento is yours to personalize. Add your photos from Q2, tag the homies, and relive your unique experience. Each memento is packed with stats, so watch as your sports history grows as you add mementos for each game. From Austin FC, NWSL, and NCAA to the Prem, NFL, and NBA, track your fan experience from the palm of your hand.
Did you know that I've watched Austin FC 90 times, bro?
Damn. That's
How many times have you watched that? How many times have you watched that team, bro?
I think it was 87, and I just added the last one, so I think it's 88 total.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to find out how many times you've seen the team, definitely download Memento, help the pod out, and follow the link in the description or on our socials to start tracking your Memento. Thanks.
And we're back. Last Saturday, Austin started the second half of this season with a bang, earning a 2-0 shutout win in Verde. Dessler and Danny were back in the starting lineup, and Mirto Ozuni did not feature for the squad as he was on international duty in Albania. Dessler scored his first goal for the club on a favorable deflection off a Danny P shot. Bukhari dominated on the right wing. Galley connected well on the left wing with Dessler in the midfield, and Vasquez had a number of good opportunities, but shout out backup keeper Nick Hansen, who had for having Brandon's number, because Brandon had some awesome shots.
Yeah.
So no Mirto, no problem, or like what's up here? Kidding. But it did seem like we saw space for more guys to get involved on offense without the extra pressure of an underperforming $13 million DP. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, I got to put this out there. I don't think this was a game where it was, no Mirto, no problem. I think Colorado was just that poor on the night that offered up a lot of space to Austin's, looking at the matchup between Travis and Bukhari, who was constantly down that right flank. I mean, they just didn't really know what to do. I feel like Mirto would have actually done a really good job of helping link, further opportunities the way he did in Minnesota. But that said, proud of the guys that were there in Den Verde. And honestly, I think I might have tweeted this where, this was probably a rare instance where Nico got it right, and the way that we set up 4-4-2 in possession, but conceding more of the ball early on, but being able to counter and just let the guys do what they do. I mean, seeing Dessler in the box, it was a welcome, sight, because, it's just a reminder that both on defense and in the attack, he's a quality player to have on the squad. And so, yeah, I think for me, man, it's just one of those things where a couple of things all came together. I feel like this club really enjoys going out to, Dick's Sporting Goods Park. For whatever reason, Colorado has a really good rapport with, our fans and letting them, show out and bring the instruments and kind of bring a little bit of Q2 with them. And so I feel like Den Verde is like home away from home almost. And so the players, feed off of that. And I think the comms tweet that was out after the game was saying that Austin's the first team since 21, I believe, to win on the road, 3 times. And so, yeah.
That's positive.
That's what I have to say about that.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I think we're just in a tough spot right now with what's going on with Mirto and how he fits in this offense. And I think we've talked about this a lot, right? Like, we've had Driussi and Rigoni and Fagundes, right, at times, or like really that Driussi Fagundes pairing worked really well because Diego played a way that the DPs did not, and he naturally played the support role, and because of that, like he had so much freedom in the offense to create and run down that left side. And I think we saw a little bit of that with John Gallagher on Saturday, where like not having a DP there and not needing to force him the ball naturally just got him the ball, right? Because they knew they wanted to get the ball back around to Buka on the right.
Yeah.
They wanted to get the ball through the middle and create some opportunities that way. And it just simplified things in a way that we haven't seen from a winger in a while in Austin. And I think, I mean, we've been going back to the first season, 2023, when we're recording things, 22 and 23 for the podcast. Like, we've been talking about that time and time again, where like this system works well when we have role players who play a very specific role, who can attack the defense in a certain way that opens up the offense in a favorable way, right? And I think Nico has his hands full trying to figure out how to create that sense of freedom and space and kind of just opportunity for all of the players when they have a guy like Mirto who needs to be coached in a way, right? He needs to see the ball hit the back of the net. He needs to keep getting opportunities to break out and break through, right? And so it's kind of like, well, how do we make that happen organically, right, within the system? And I think Saturday's win was more of like a system win, in my opinion, where like, to Nico's credit, to what you said, like Nico did it right. Sure, they weren't the prettiest goals of all time, but people got in the right positions, created the right opportunities, and it worked out for us. Whereas we see the games where DPs are struggling and Mirto's struggling, we're trying to like make him play a way maybe he doesn't want to play, and we're like, oh, we need to get Mirto the ball in the air, right, and see what happens there. And we weren't really forcing that much from what I watched on Saturday. So
yeah,
it's a weird situation. I thought the guys played well though. I think having Dessler and Danny healthy in the lineup is a huge positive for us. They unlock something that the other guys just weren't able to replicate.
Yeah.
And good players make good things happen, right? And that's kind of what happened for us on Saturday. So shout out Owen Wolf for a good corner.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people, Lojo, give him a lot of flack on Twitter. And so,
yeah,
good to see him make something happen out of it. Create another chance. He's our leader in big chances created. So
yeah.
Hell yeah. Anything else to add there?
Well, I just think, going back to the Mirto point, it should be reminded that, like, I mean, behind Brandon, he's second up in terms of just total XG on the year, where I think Brandon was totaled at like 9.3, Mirto's at 4.4, and that's through FB Ref. But I mean, next up at Bukhari, he's at 1.9. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah,
the stats and the models are saying that like this guy is doing enough. And I would argue that, like, while yes, these are algorithms and what have you, looking on the pitch, I mean, the dude's clearly hustling, and it's just a matter of the fact that like the ball's just not going back there. But he's tried, some insane shots, and it's not like he's not doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing it. It's just not happening. And that's football. You and I have laced up on a Saturday morning, and we've done the things that we're supposed to do, and it doesn't happen for our team, right? It's just this case, but we're not getting paid hella money for it. So all that to say is, I don't know why I'm being so defensive about Mirto right now, bro, but
I know what you say. I know what you're saying though. Like, on the flip side, he's missed a handful of sitters that he should make,
right,
99 times out of 100, right? A breakaway that doesn't go his way.
I just think that the generation of opportunities needs to be higher. And I think a lot of people have been saying this, where it needs to be, to your point about the least amount of touches and all this, like he needs to be not crossing, but he's got to be touching the ball like minimum 50 times a game, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like across the front three. We just got to do it, But
I agree.
Anyway.
We've spoken about the defense, kind of looked at the stats there. With this shutout, right, against Colorado, Austin tied their record for most shutouts in the season, just 18 games in.
That's crazy.
Can our defense sneak us into the playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%, man. I think I look at Svatak, who's having a sneakily excellent, season right now in terms of we got to remember his value, right? Sitting around 300K. And for him to be able to help, with these clean sheets. And granted, Brandon did have a little bit of a slip up that Stu was able to save him out of against Colorado, but like he's been class too, man. So I think for the two of them, they've been our best two, center backs, and I think Julio has unfortunately taken that back seat there, which is
probably due to injuries more than anything.
Yeah, well, that too, but just in general, in terms of defensive cover, we don't want him being the isolated slow man on the back line. You know what I'm saying? It's like Brendan and Svatak have a good working relationship that's keeping that from doing the thing. So I don't know, man. I would say that, in addition to the fullbacks, this defense is going to be key for us, if we are able to sneak in over the playoff line on decision day. But good on them.
Looking at, first half, mentioning the stats and maybe like trying to undervalue what our defense has done, there's no doubt in my mind that this is the best defense we've ever had, right? Granted, that bar isn't the highest bar across the league, but this many shutouts, if you take away that Vancouver game, we've had a great defensive season, right? Yeah. That Vancouver game was unfortunate. They're a great team, so I'm going to give that a bunch of salt, right? A bunch of grains of salt there. We've had a great year defensively. And I think, right, kind of that ultimatum I was giving at the end of the first half discussion of like the offense can't be worse. There's just statistically almost no way this Austin offense stays this bad. Yeah. And if the defense can just stay more or less how it's been, solid, we should be able to get into that play-in at minimum.
Agreed.
The rest of the season schedule is a lot more favorable in terms of congestion. May is the gauntlet, and we kind of sort of survived it. Like we're in the playoff race. That's cool. We got almost no points out of it, but Open Cup win, that's good. Like anyway, getting to the point, I think the defense can bring us into playoff contention in some way. Not can the offense catch up and win us games. We saw it on Saturday, so it's possible.
And I think I randomly just went back and looked at the clearance stats because I think earlier on this season it might have been after the win at LAFC when we talked about this. But remember when we mentioned that Heinz Ike was already on track to surpass Gabrielson's clearance totals for 2022. So looking at 2022, Gabrielson ended with 89 clearances. Cascante actually ended up with most at 109. For 2025, between Svatak and Heinz Ike, Svatak has 104 and Heinz Ike at 106 already. So, I mean, they're just sweeping shit up back there, dude. It's crazy,
And you mentioned it very in passing. Stuver, this was a classic Stuver game. This is if you're going to, in terms of like big saves and big moments and shutting out, squashing momentum for Colorado, like this is a classic peak Stuver game.
Right.
Shout out to Brad for that one because the highlights are pretty chock full of Stuver saves if you look back at it. Good instincts. Obviously didn't let some the Brendan Heinz Ike kind of give away to Navajo. That whole thing, like shut that down. Good game from Stuver. So hell yeah, dude. This shutout was on his back, in my opinion.
Truly.
Colorado should have scored. Right? They had a bunch of shots, good opportunities. So let's look ahead to this weekend, right, against New York Red Bulls.
Let's do it.
On Saturday, Austin hosts the red-hot New York Red Bulls, who currently sit 6th in the East with 27 points on the season. They have allowed fewer goals than us and have more than twice the number of goals scored than us.
Yay!
But they are 1, 2, and 5 on the road.
Damn!
That bodes well for us. They're unstoppable at home. Dookie cheeks on the road.
Yeah.
What are the keys to keeping 3 points at home for Austin?
Well, two names. I'm thinking Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting and Cameron Harper. In addition to, everyone knows Emil Forsberg is a player to watch as well. But those two names in particular, because of just recent form, are going to be players to look out for. I remember this game like it was yesterday, bro. I think that was 3 years ago. That was in 2022.
Yep.
And I mean, we were expecting a classic Austin FC Q2 win, and then they came out of nowhere and just smacked the hell out of us, But
Yeah. Did they put 5 on us?
they
Is that one
put
of those
they
goal games?
put 4. I think it was
4.
4-3 was
Okay.
the final in that one.
Yeah, that's right.
I might need to go double check that, but yeah, man, that was just a weird, wacky game. I think we're much better suited, especially after the result in Colorado, to handle business at home. They've, like you mentioned, their road form. They're going to come into Q2 already kind of knowing that that's the case. They're going to want to have that monkey off their back. But if we play like we played, these Open Cup matches back at home, and the fans keep doing their thing, I feel good about this one. And yeah, we were supposed to win. I called it in the preheated take. So
Yeah, right. I like it. I like the matchup for us because of that away form.
yeah,
They sit in 27th, but it's so congested in the East. I'm sorry, they sit in 6th with 27 points.
yeah,
But it's a very congested Eastern Conference. I think they're like a win away from 3rd or something like that. And so obviously tough competition. But I don't know, man. I feel good about it for some reason, right? Maybe it's that the Verde tinted glasses.
we back,
Maybe
baby.
it's the road form. Maybe it's just like I preheated took that Mirto was going to score, and I think that's good for us, right? To see him, that'll unlock a different level of Uzuni, in my opinion. So
Yeah,
I feel good about it. I think you the one name Choupo-Moting, he has 10 goals on the year. He's 36. Bro's just out here vibing. Like if we can just stop him from scoring some crazy like Kai Kamara, Maxi Ruti style goal, it's just like man, fuck it.
right.
He just like yeets it and scores. We can stop that. I'll feel pretty good. I think Dessler being back in the defense is huge for us. He's been playing great, and I think just momentum of a win, a healthy squad more or less.
Mhm.
Guys like Dessler and Bidu who just kind of don't care about pressure. It doesn't affect them. They're
Yeah.
just here to play. I think that's going to help steady things for us. Can we score a goal? We'll need to if you want to win. So
True.
I'd like to see that at Q2. I don't have any sense of what the numbers look like, but we may have only scored not including Open Cup, 5-6 goals at home.
That's
maybe
tough.
less.
Yeah.
Right. So we haven't seen many full green stadium moments in Austin,
Mhm.
and I'd like to see more of those. So again, not including Open Cup because we put 5 in 2 games. Hell yeah. Predictions. You predicted a win. What's it going to look like?
I actually have another clean sheet on the way.
Break the
1-0.
Just a good old-fashioned 1-0.
All that talk, boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to play it safe here, and I'm going to go 1-0.
Off a new Zuni goal so that we
yeah,
both win.
if we want to combine that too. I get the
Yeah.
feeling, I don't know, I smell Owen Wolf.
Ooh. Another big chance created.
You
Right?
know.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, no problem there.
Yeah. How about you, man? Big number. Big number. Give
I
me
don't
big
know.
number.
I don't know, 2-1, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go I'd like to see a game where we let a goal in and we still win, right? For some reason that doesn't seem to have happened often for us,
Yeah.
where we win those competitive games. So,
I mean, I
yeah.
just think back to El Paso, bro. I mean,
right,
we're down
El Paso,
2.
the one that Houston scored obviously in the Open Cup, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think a 2-1 win would make me feel good. It's maybe they score early, we get 2 to come back and win. A guy like Coleman-ish comes off the bench, creates something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to win. 2-1 sounds fun, so let's do that.
Nice.
Shall we go to stoppage?
We shall.
Shall we indeed? Speaking of Owen Wolf, rumor has it that he's being targeted by the Filipino Football Association to join their national team. He's one of 5 names that have been targeted across MLS, one of which is his brother Tyler Wolf. I did very little research to substantiate this rumor, but I like the way it sounds. What are your thoughts?
That's crazy, bro. Yeah. I mean, for all the time that he spent, with the youth national team, and being a key part of that, was that U20 World Cup squad, for him to just suddenly, I mean, I get the targeting, it makes sense. He's a baller, but I don't think it's, gonna mean
Don't think it's
anything.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to see
But
nonetheless, right?
yeah.
If true, right? Like this there's a big push. The Philippines have been doing this shit for a while in basketball as well. Like the NBA, they go for like kind of B, C tier NBA players
Mm-hmm.
and get their citizenship so they can play a national team and ball out for the Philippines. So like
Nice.
it's a tactic they've been doing a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty easy to get citizenship, or maybe for the pipeline for athletes it might be.
Right.
So it's cool. Shout out on Wolf. Hope he stays in the U.S. and gets a look there.
Yeah,
for
for
the
real.
first team at some point. He's got years ahead of him. But yeah. Another rumor is the Austin FC is rumored to be pursuing French center back Mikel Nade. Is my attempt at pronouncing his name.
Sounded good.
Thank you. Who currently plays for AS Saint Etienne. They were recently in Ligue 1 and have been relegated after this season. And the assumption is that salary things are making it possible that he's available.
Yeah.
So I think he's 26, in form, possibly.
Good little fire sale action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my take here is, again, going back to what we talked about earlier. If it's a CB that we're inquiring for, I mean, definitely, I think I smell Roto cooking again. And also just a random connection here between Saint Etienne and MLS. You know, our favorite winger, Denny Bouanga,
Yep.
former Saint Etienne
right.
player himself. So if Nade can be that type of, signing from that back line and over to Austin, I mean, we might have a good defensive baller in our midst.
Yeah. Now the rumor says something along the lines of he has a contract for the next couple years still, and the purchase, the sale amount would be somewhere like around $2 million. Again, didn't really substantiate this with more research, but if it is a $2 million transfer fee, right? We know that those transfer fees get whatever split across however long. Yeah. Thank you. Amortized, split across the length of their contract. So realistically, he'd probably have to be a TAM player. And we have a TAM center back already that's taking up a roster spot. So, hey, shit, we might see some movement there, right? Where
True.
frequently injured 30-something-year-old Julio Cascante maybe is out. This guy comes in to replace him. Maybe we call up one of the center backs from the second team as like long-term, just rest of the season kind of insurance. Yeah. Who knows? But if the numbers are planning out how they seem to be, he's a TAM guy, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So curious.
Not mad at it. Yeah.
No. Looking at the national team, Pochettino becomes the first U.S. men's national team manager to drop 3 games in a row in over a decade.
I've always been an El Tree fan, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Always have been, bro. Hey, but he brought us to Conference League out in Chelsea, so that's cool. We won that.
You're not supposed to say that out loud, bro.
Oh, my bad.
You're supposed to hate him. But no, in all seriousness, this is not a good look for the national team. Dude, the men's team, I don't know why it is the case, bro, but it's just constantly in some kind of dumpster fire, man. It's like Pulley tries to have a break, bro, before he locks in for 26 next summer, but then everyone's like, wah. And then the team that does get picked can't ball out, and it's just like, this is why everyone watches women's sports, bro.
True. I don't understand, like, there's so many dudes, American citizens, playing footy in like top 10 leagues across Europe, not even on the radar to be called up. We keep calling up random MLS dudes who may have a good career long term, but like it never made sense to me. Like, it seems like every other federation is calling up their best players in the best leagues time and time again.
Right.
And it, at least just from basic definition or defining characteristic like plays in France or plays in Germany isn't good enough for the US. So
yeah,
I don't know. Shit's kind of weird.
It is, man. It's a weird inflection point. And maybe we can talk about that on a different pod, but just like where U.S. soccer is in general with this weird, it's almost like incestual relationship with MLS too, where, it's trying to help MLS growth and what have you. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, whole weird thing. Let's keep it moving. Portugal win the UEFA Nations League final in penalties against Spain. Shit's pretty crazy. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, Cucurella, don't be down, bro. You're gonna get your trophy. I mean, you got yours last time around, or with the Euros, so it's whatever. This is the Mickey Mouse one. But Ronaldo was celebrating on that touchline like it was, a World Cup, bro.
Yeah.
What it means to the dude, but yeah.
40-something-year-old Ronaldo winning cups that he has no business winning, potentially. Like,
right.
Good for him, bro. I was talking shit before this game. I'm like, oh, they won the semifinal. Well, they're going to get smacked by Spain or France. So, like, who cares? Yeah. Penalties, they won it. So, shout out to the GOAT, right?
Something like that.
We'll probably talk about this more in more detail in the next couple weeks. But the MLS Players Association and MLS are still at odds on the Club World Cup pay issue. That being, MLS clubs are paid by FIFA for participating, and the players are only being given a 10% share of that pay. So if it's $10 million, the players only given $1 million, which I think those are literal numbers. So
yeah.
Thoughts on this? I mean, we saw Stephen Cleveland post on Instagram about it with the hashtag
fair share now.
Fair share, yeah. A lot of other people have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is an interesting one, and while on the surface, I'm usually the type to go, well, Austin's not involved. Who gives a you know what I'm saying? But
right.
when we do get up there and we are those big balls, like just balling out with the likes of Chelsea and whatnot, I mean, it would affect us too. So all that to say, good on the Players Association, showing the solidarity. You hope that somehow they figure it out with Don Garber and the league. To make it right, because I think what they were saying is for the 3 clubs that are involved, there's a max outlay of I think 30 million between the 3 just for getting there, and so I think the players are still again only limited to that 1 million or the 3 million, which that's it's not right, bro. But
no, it's not. I hope it gets worked out. I don't see this leading to any kind of player strike. Realistically, like, people are going to want to play against
100%
show their mettle, right, and show their skill. But I hope it's just out of respect for the players, right? It's a players' league.
Yeah,
give them what they deserve, right?
Yeah,
like,
man.
They got here. The coach got them here, right? Pay them. It seems that easy. So
True.
A lot of other leagues, NFL, NBA, even NHL, MLB, like in America, have gone through similar things. Not obviously not in the Club World Cup setting, but just with player salaries versus owner earnings. And I hope MLS follows suit and pays players. So full circle here. Houston Dash take on San Diego Wave at 7 p.m. this Friday. Paul, where will we be watching?
That'll be at the 1972 pub downtown. West Campus.
It's Friday at what time?
Friday at 7 p.m., boss.
Okay, and you and I will be there.
I mean, I'm there. I think you're there, right?
I'm there. Yeah.
And hopefully the listeners there too, but...
Yeah, that too. And we're inviting people to come watch with us.
Yeah. Are you going to wear your kit, bro?
I'm going to wear my kit, bro.
Nice,
I'm going to hard launch it.
Hard launch, bro.
What kit are you wearing?
I'll probably wear an older Dash kit, because...
Nice. Which
no
player?
No one got me a Dash kit.
Bro, it's on your birthday yet, Joe.
I'm just kidding. No, I'll probably wear the Space City Blue kit or whatever from a few years ago. But
hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, we'll see what's up.
Yeah, so 7 p.m. Friday.
Do
Houston
it.
Dash, San Diego Wave, 1972 pub. See you there.
Yeah.
And lastly, there's going to be a lot more Chelsea news coming up. So I want to save it for when there's more, so we're not just scattering it.
Yeah.
But the big exciting news, as kind of aficionados of the team, Cole Palmer will wear number 10 for Chelsea next year.
Yeah. And I'm gonna also add a little extra here, and Liam Delap will wear number 9, and we'll see if the curse is lifted or not. But Cole Palmer 10. I mean, this was in the making, bro.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons, and I just want to say shout out Mikhaila Mudryk. I know you didn't do it, Sweet Prince, and we're all waiting for that B sample still. So
yes,
hopefully that works out.
Yeah.
Who took number 20? Remind me.
I don't know if they ever mentioned who got
No,
20,
I think they
but
did. I think they
did
did.
they?
Yeah.
We'll
All right.
find out at the Club World
Not me,
Cup
Chip.
probably. Yeah.
True. True. So shout out Cole though. I mean, it's his jersey. It's his number, right?
True.
The halfway through his first season for Chelsea, we were all like,
That's a 10.
When are we going to get that fixed? Yeah, when are we going to get that
Right.
fixed? So it was well deserved, and I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all kicking it with us on this week's episode, the 100th episode of the Verdependent podcast. I'm Logan Bartlett. You can find me at Lobar VHLM.
And I'm Paul Flates. You can find me on Twitter at PaulAndrewFC. That's a government name.
And keep the chatter going online by following at the Verdependent on socials. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. That's an episode, y'all. 101 up next. Peace. Oh, why are you screaming at me?
Oh my God.